So the research continues, and I think proof of work has its place in the world. I think a lot of very, very smart people who are smarter than me, people like Charles Hoskinson and Gavin Wood, they have looked at proof of work and they said that things can be better with proof of stake. I think the reality of the situation is that uh, when they made those decisions to go into proof of stake, they haven't looked at the fact that the encryption and crypto algorithms are actually evolving. And they only really said that the proof of work is bad in terms of polluting the environment just because it's using SHA-256. SHA-256 existed for more than 30 years. It is a very inefficient algorithm in the way that it is used for Bitcoin. And the way that this is inefficient is that as more miners come aboard, they use more and more megawatts and kilowatts of power. When it comes to Argon 2 algorithm, which is just 3 or 4 years old, it's an algorithm that won numerous awards in being one of the best encryption algorithms to use for password hashing. It is actually reduces the power utilization. Basically, if you have more miners coming in and difficulty is moving up, the power of the use of that algorithm is actually getting reduced. So if you're spending a kilowatt of power and there's more miners coming in, you will end up spending about 300 watts and less, and so on and so forth, until you hit like some very, very nominal value. Their decision to go into proof of stake was basically based on the fact that there's so much energy is being wasted. It could be used for something else. The truth is that the proof of stake cannot exist really outside of proof of work. In fact, Ethereum had to be proof of work before it moved into proof of stake. When you launch a proof of stake chain, like for example, should we launch X1 as a proof of stake chain, you cannot secure that chain with an XN token if that token has no value, because there's such this thing called slashing for the stakers. Like you have to stake something that's dear to you, and if XN has no value and you're staking it, and you can buy millions and millions of XN from the market for a couple of cents, then you cannot really secure a proof of stake network at all. So there has to be value for XN. Now, the way that contemporary proof of stake networks come to be today is that generally they hold an ICO. Generally, they have investors. Generally, they pump the hell out of their token. Like, for example, there was a number of, I mean, like Solana, for example, they raised a ton of money, and that's what's keeping Solana afloat. They have a lot of investors. Now, this is not really an organic way, the way that the chains are really supposed to launch, because it looks like a chain as a company. And to be honest, Charles Hoskinson was fired from Ethereum Foundation specifically for the fact that Vitalik wanted it to be a pure crypto that's fully decentralized, that is non for profit, where Charles really wanted to have a for profit foundation or a company, and he wanted to be a CEO. So, very similar situation with, with Gavin Wood. Both of those guys founded Ethereum. They just wanted to make money for themselves. And that is fine, but we should not convolute blockchain decentralized distributed technologies and call it fully decentralized if it has an element of investors that is actually keeping the value of the tokens that are staked higher. Because again, if you stake tokens that are worth nothing, then you cannot secure the blockchain. Now, going back to proof of work is undeniably a better system where you can spend your time and compute power to generate tokens that are linked to the value of the energy and the effort you spent. It is very similar to Zen Mint, and that actually makes it a lot more of a pure, closer to the, I would say, inception of Bitcoin's system that could be used, for example, to make X1 more secure. Just because, again, there's no pre-mine, there's no pre-mint, there's no pump, there's no investors. The community literally gives value to the coin out of thin air by turning on their miners. That is actually very interesting. And again, because of the new and modern algorithms, the power that you need to spend is diminishing over time as new miners join. Uh, 5 years ago, those algorithms did not exist. Now they do. I think it's a pure way to launch a chain. I think we really need to look carefully into how we can use Zen blocks to generate real value. And I think proof of stake and proof of work could be combined into a hybrid solution and make a stronger chain.